Right, today's webinar, the start of September, is going to be all about colors. So let's get started. So why colors? Why is colors so important? Well, what kind of colors? Well, it's easy. Just reds, orange, yellow, all these kind, and all the other kinds of colors you can think of. And so when I think of colors, or excuse me, when people think of colors, what usually comes to mind? Well, one thing that comes to my mind is animation and cartoons. They can be full of color if they want to. I know there is the black and white cartoons, but in animation, I like to focus on generally the colorful animation that goes on with these cartoons. I have mentioned too about this book known as Life Animated. It's about this kid who kind of grew up and learned his own language through watching a bunch of Disney-related content, and he kind of grew up with these movies. He grew up with these cartoons, and he is able to understand and how to develop his own language and develop his own vocabulary. And the main takeaway for his story in Life Animated is that after watching a bunch of these Disney films, and oftentimes repeatedly, he's able to thrive in his own way and understanding the world around him, such as, for example, love, affection, and companionship. Well, with cartoons, I do believe that most of these cartoons have a much bigger effect when they're full of color. And a lot of times I would watch, most of the cartoons I would watch were way before my time, from the 30s to the 70s. Sometimes even the 30s they would have colorful cartoons, but at the same time, when I see black and white cartoons, I see them a little bit differently oftentimes. Like, take for example, Popeye. Popeye has been, it can be a black and white character. It can also be a colorful character as well. Or excuse me, a colorful cartoon and black and white cartoon as well. They, very big difference in such. To me, anyway, I always thought, black and white Popeye, or is it colorful Popeye? Which one is it? That kind of stuff. I didn't really quite, understood at the time, but I still really enjoyed those kind of cartoons, and kind of understand that, as time goes by, that it's the same cartoon, just with black and white or with color. Now, when in animated flicks, you can see how they talk as well. Actually, kind of remember, watching Popeye, where there were some cartoons where they speak, but they don't really move their mouths as much. It's so silly and so funny. And oftentimes, I get kind of confused about that, where whenever they're even like talking, but their mouth doesn't really move as much. It was kind of confusing, but at the same time, it was still pretty fun because of how silly and the action can be so out there and such with Popeye. I can definitely say that it can be learning examples when it comes to learning characters that have mouth movements or learning characters that don't have mouth movements. And back to Life Animates, that's how this person was able to speak by learning how the mouth moves, especially when it comes to the color that goes on. The colors are so bright, they're so attractive, I guess you can say, that you just couldn't look away from those colors too. And it can be used as a good thing when it comes to being social. But it's definitely not just animation or it's just not cartoons that really make a difference. I want to mention this because this is still a topic about color, but it's also even live action that have very bright colors. What do I mean by that? Take, for example, Sesame Street. It has a lot of color into them too, especially with the Muppets that they use too. I will say that's one of my first words besides dad or mom or papa or mama. One of my other first words was this, Elmo. That was one of my first words. Why? Well, because for one thing, Elmo's fur is red, and red is one of my favorite colors. So that's why I want to, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to say Elmo and just try to project it as well. And at the same time, seeing the people, the actual people in Sesame Street, knowing how to form the words out whenever they say Elmo or Zoe or Cookie Monster or anything like that, or Big Bird. And I always say that back in my other webinar, when it comes to repetitions, I would watch these things repeatedly and try to understand the way people talk, the way they move their mouth. I will say that it's kind of important to not make it too colorful. What do I mean by that? I would say that when I think of too much color, I would think of colors that come up all of a sudden, repeatedly. And there's so much going on. There's so much color that just flashes in front of you, in television or sometimes in video games and such too. That I do believe it would be a little too much. Too much is going on when it comes to color. Now, but I do believe that that colorful things is very important. Like, for example, the computer software I remember using. Like, for example, Jumpstart. Jumpstart is a great program when it comes to preschoolers all the way to third grades or fourth grade, I believe. I think it goes all the way to sixth grade. Don't quote me on that, but it's a very neat program, and they have a really great understanding when it comes to color. Okay, this part is very colorful. There's the next parts. It's also very colorful, but very different at the same time. Do a lecture, like at least an hour or half an hour lecture, telling you what to do. It's just simple, at least in the 2 seconds. It's like deep. That means you can't go into the deep end of the pool. The same with the animation. The same with cartoons. Straight to the point. Excuse me, not just cartoons with television, but with computer programs. Straight to the point. Know what they're talking about, and I do believe that is the most effective key when it comes to people with autism. It becomes you get to see it and then learn it quickly. But if you don't learn it the first time, do it all over again. Repeat the process until you get it right. That's why I always say it doesn't have to be a very long lecture or anything like that. I do believe repetitiveness is the key when it comes to autism, because when it's just one big swoop, I don't believe that it gets the message entirely clearly. So that's why repetitiveness, especially when it comes to animation and cartoons, especially when it comes to color, is definitely the most important. Even when that cartoon is 30 minutes long or an hour long or anything like that, it's okay to watch it over and over and over again. So not just cartoons or computer programs, but also video games as well. Especially when they're full of color. I would say that a lot of my favorite video games tend to be very colorful too. Growing up with the Nintendo 64, there was a lot of video games that were very colorful too, and they were age appropriate too. We were very serious and very strict about the ratings and age appropriate games and such growing up. I've been talking quite a bit about cartoons and quite a bit about all this kind of stuff. But what about illustrations where it doesn't involve movement? Illustrations can be very important when learning new things and how to thrive forward. I will mention too about the chart. What is the chart? Growing up, I remember the charts being a very successful tool on what to do on a daily routine. So as a kid, I would look at this chart, and it would say something like, get up, get dressed, brush your teeth, take a shower, eat breakfast, or anything like, or get your backpack, go to school, and, or excuse me, get on the bus and go to school. I don't remember exactly how the routine worked, or the pattern and such, but that's what I would say. But that's why I would look at the chart. The reason why the chart was so important is because almost every single words on that chart had a picture above the words. So such as Tyler, it has a picture of a face that looks similar to me, or or the bus. It has a picture of the bus. Or the school. It has a picture of what looks like a school. The reason why they work also is because of, you guessed it, color. And without the color, it seems very odd, and it feels very weird. It's like, where's the color on this stuff? It's kind of it doesn't really quite pop up without the color. So that's why we believe that color was very important when it comes to the charts. And it's not just in home that I use it too. It's also in the school as well, where we also have a similar chart. Another chart that we also used was appropriate and not appropriate. We have a color of a yellow that's a picture of a happy face, which means appropriate, and we have a picture that's not appropriate. I think it was red or so. It has a little frowny face, and that to me was very helpful too, because I get to see what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. I would also mention too that comics can be an incredible tool for learning as well. What kind of comics? Well, it's not just comics that you see at the newspaper or at the bookstore, but also comics that generates a story about what goes on. For example, I remember coloring a story that goes on. So at school, I was told, okay, here is a thing that goes on. I want you to color about what goes on. So example, I used to kind of I don't really know how to express about what I don't like. I used to say, I hate this, or I hate all this. This stinks. That kind of thing. So instead, color the inappropriate parts and color what is appropriate. So what's appropriate to say? It's like, I don't think I really like this attitude much into, or simply just don't really say much. It's or I'm not really quite a big fanatic on this area personally. That kind of stuff. Be polite. That kind of stuff. And that's what the teachers would do. They would give you permission to ask me to color what goes on. And once you color, you get to generate a bigger picture on what goes on within these little comics. And with the comics, it says, for example, hey, it's okay to be sad. So what do you do when you're sad? And it illustrates a little story about what you can do if you're sad. You can talk to someone that you love, such as a parent or a teacher, or sometimes even listen to music. As long as it is colorful, then I do believe it'll work better in a much bigger scale than just being black and white. The colors definitely pop up when it comes to the comics. I believe with autism, learning things visually is very good and able to thrive forward, especially when it comes to repeating those processes, or even seeing the same picture over and over again when it comes to illustrations. Now, I will say that if you like to draw, then keep drawing. Keep expressing, exploring the artistic vibe. You can draw whatever you like, and I do believe that once you draw and put color into them, then I do believe that there is progress in knowing how to thrive forward in your own understanding, whether it's creativity or whether it's learning some basic stuff. It's okay to kind of just draw those things out. Draw what you express, especially when there's color in them as well. So what I recommend is that find books with the pictures in them. Find books with color in them. Whether they're stories or whether they're some encyclopedias or some things that you can learn from, like history or music or anything like that. Especially when there's color in them, or excuse me, especially when there's pictures in them and color. I do believe that it can be a great progression for those who have autism. They are able to understand it more clearly. They're able to look at it, however many times that they want. I find myself reading the same book over and over again because of the colorful pictures. Visualize and learn that from them. And once you learn how to do it over and over again, I do believe that there is progress and the will to thrive. Another suggestion I recommend is an art museum. An art museum, there's a lot of pictures in there. There's a lot of color in an art museum. And also at the same thing too, not just go and look at the pictures, but also learn what the child is interested in when it comes to the art. Feel free to know and learn and understand by asking questions about the arts that they are interested in. Feel free to find helpful educational software programs that is colorful and definitely works. Colors are important to drawings at times. So maybe one thing that can be fun, like as a little family activity, is that maybe you can draw pictures and adding color into them. Draw whatever you like. Draw what comes to mind. Draw what you enjoy. Growing up, we learned how to have the idea of a colorful mind. So what is a colorful mind? Well, when it comes to moving forward and being exposed to new things, it helps a person grow, and if necessary, and it is very necessary to break off routines and accept the differences that go on. That counts as a colorful mind. There will be changes and there will be differences go on, and that's how you're able to expand and have a colorful mind. Such as being exposed to new music or new games or new movies, new toys, new books, or anything that's being provided in the world. And I believe it's that they are worth trying in order to achieve the colorful mind. And that's my message to you when it comes to color. To thank you again for tuning in. I wish you all a wonderful day, and I hope that we are helping to make autism more workable. So with that, I leave you a farewell, and we hope to see you again next time.